Hi, you guys. This is Acrylic Painting Monday, and we're going to be doing this adorable beagle and squirrel. This is what you call a limited palette, and the video is less than an hour and a half. Start again.
Oh, what's going on?
I'm allergic to squirrels, John. You should know. Look up at me. I just can't be around those squirrels. It's a wonder I painted it. I just sneeze every time I look at him, right? Just sort of psychosomatic at this point. You guys are going to have a blast today. It's a premiere. And what that means is that John and I are traveling somewhere, and if we're anywhere near a computer with good internet, we'll be on the live chat. And we hope you are too. And thanks for watching, and let's have fun. Hi, you guys. It's Acrylic Painting Monday, and we're going to be painting this adorable pooch with a little squirrel on top of his head while he's sleeping. And, you know, one of the things that we learn in art when you're trying to become, what can I tell you about a squirrel and a dog that you haven't thought of before? You know, when you're talking about a painting, what can you tell me about a lemon? What can you tell me about a flower still life? So when you're thinking about painting subjects, this is a little bit outside the box, and yet it brings a smile. It's adorable. This is a very, very easy painting to do. I'm going to take you step by step through it. And so I just want to dispel the idea that this is hard. Even if you think so, watch it. What if you learned just 2 or 3 things about painting when you watched it? All right. So challenge yourself, follow us through to the very end. Get how we finish it off. The details at the very end are what make the painting. I want you to notice that this little dark shadow here, and there's a light here and a light above his eyes. This shows his eye is puffy, right? So if you don't have this line and this highlight, it won't look puffy. Notice that there's light on top. All dogs have a little bit of light across their nose. It's almost like a little shelf. Think of the nose as like a triangle with a shelf. Can you think of that? Okay. And so when we do this, you're gonna find that if you just remember where the highlights go, where the shadows go, you really have something in no time at all. Now, this particular painting was done, it's a 9x12 canvas, and the colors for this are white, raw umber, and
Orchid.
White, raw umber, and white, raw umber. What?
White. Use orchid.
What?
Orchid?
Yeah, yellow ochre. That's it. White, raw umber, yellow ochre. Yeah, that was it. That's what it's on here. Okay. I knew there were 3 colors. So, all right. So, anyhow, we're going to paint this, and then the companion piece for our Academy members who want to challenge themselves to say, okay, I learned all this. What did I take away from this lesson? Could I do this on my own? Here's a different, this is actually a different breeding dog. It's a beagle. And we've got this little squirrel on top of that. And you'll notice between the two, this squirrel has a little more detail than the first picture. And so, you know, this is another little challenge piece, and that's available for our Academy members at acrylicpaintingwithgingercook.com. So, I want to welcome our moderators. I want to thank you all for being here. This has been the adventure of a lifetime, this trip John and I are on. It's a premiere, so I will be typing in all caps and bad spelling with you if we happen to be somewhere where we have internet when this is airing. So we want to, anyway, thank you for joining and joining us. And let's get down to painting the dog. So let's start with the colors. And it's white, titanium white. This is ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, Payne's gray, which is black and ultramarine blue. Cadmium orange light. If you had cadmium red, cadmium red light, but if you had just cadmium red, that'd be okay. Cad yellow medium, yellow ochre, raw sienna. All right, so those are our colors, and we'll just let's just start off with a little bit of white here, and we'll you know, kind of block in where the white goes. That kind of always helps, doesn't it? When you sort of say, okay, well, I know I've got some white in here. we'll do that. And now this is a painting that requires, even though it's easy, it's not a coloring book, it requires layering, okay? So you know that.
I think that's something you can safely say about Ginger's paintings. There are layers and layers and more layers.
But, we'll start with this or sort of block this out. And we know that this back fur here is white. A little bit, there's some black too, but I can safely say that this goes here, right, like that. Okay. Kind of comes around. It's a little bit of white next to the fur of the squirrel. Okay. And so that's pretty good, right? And if I take some our mixing board and take some white, some Payne's gray, okay, a little bit of yellow ochre to it. See what that does to the paint? You wouldn't think that, would you? But a little yellow ochre. Now we've got this kind of what we call a warm gray. We're going to come on up here like this and paint it on our background. Like that, just kind of back and forth. And that lets some of the underpainting show through if you want. I'm not using any matte medium at the moment because we're not trying to blend all this. This is just sort of brushed on top. Okay, so remember how we made that. So white, Payne's gray, and a yellow ochre. Okay. Some of this is a little darker than others. Come up here, that's a little bit more of the Payne's gray in it. Okay, come around, and all the brush strokes are sort of going vertical down like this. And again, I'm letting some of the brown show through, and I'll put some more brown over it, but that's what's going on here, like that. A little bit, let's just a little lighter in here, kind of a little lighter next to the dog and our squirrel. And just lightly, brush this on. Again, we're talking about layers, so we'll put something a little lighter up here. There, okay, so then if you kind of look at our painting here, we got some darker gray over here, like that. And then we have a little bit of burnt umber on the bottom here, so let's do that. Let's paint that in. Let's get that a little bit darker with a little bit of black in it. Okay, the Payne's gray color I'm going to refer to as black, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Then I'll put a little bit of burnt sienna over here. Okay. With this color up in here, like that. And then I'm going to take something very dark. I think I'll put a little water on the brush here. Kind of spread that out. I'm going to take something very dark. I'm going to take burnt umber and ultramarine blue. And I want to come under the dog like this and say that this is very dark underneath here. And then out to the side here like that. So that's extremely dark right there. And then if I got any of this color, maybe I'll come up to this corner, take a little water on my brush, kind of feather it down a little bit here. And then I've got this very dark color right up here on the edge of his back, where he's just a little darker. Okay. All right, now let's get some more of this Payne's gray and white. Okay, now this is grayer. See how we changed it? I didn't add any other colors to it, didn't add any yellow. So when you're talking about, mixing some colors in in a painting, you can get all different kinds of colors of gray, and it can be very nice. So you've got some gray coming down here like that over there. This has had a chance to dry. Taking something a little darker, a little bit more the darker black gray color.
Just blocking in the colors. First huggy layer.
Yeah, but it's you can kind of see it's very it makes a lot of sense once you start doing it. Gonna do something lighter here. Take just a little white on the brush. Now this is so dark I can't really lighten this up anymore unless it's dry, but I'm pretty happy with this. Okay. So that's a good way to use all these colors. And I'm going to just take a palette knife and scrape all this off here like that. Put it like that. All right, so there's our
first block.
Our first layer kind of blocked in. I mean, now we know where everybody lives, right? All right, that's important. Okay, so let's take a small brush now. That's a little big. It's want a little small little detail brush. The golden maple number 1. Gonna wet it, and then I'm gonna take the brown and Payne's gray with no white in it. I'm gonna come up here like this, and I'm gonna paint this eye in on here, and then the same thing here, right here. There's an eye on this side. Okay, and I'm gonna paint the nose in here, the nostrils. And then let's take a little bit of that gray color, come across his nose like this. Then we're going to take some burnt umber and ultramarine blue together, make a dark color. And finish his nose. First layer now. We just want to maintain the shape. That's important, right? And as long as we're doing that, let's take that same color right here and do his eyes. Want to keep those in there, right? Yeah, and I've got some of that same color, so I'm always asking, where can I use it? I can use it right down here in between the paws of this squirrel. Come on up here like this. Put a little bit more brown in it. Gotta roll the brush so you're not having globs. And I'm gonna come up here like this with this color like that. And as long as I'm doing it, I'll put his mouth in like that. Okay. So that's some of the things you can do when you're saying, well, what else can I do with this? I know that, for instance, there's another layer on the dog here like that. I want some of that Payne's gray color back down in here like this. It's a little darker. So see if we can adding the layers, and then there's this layer here is very dark. Let's put some brown and burnt sienna. Just going to make some of the dark shadows that are on the dog. That's important. Sometimes if you block in areas, like this area right here needs to be blocked in. Let's take a larger brush. Here's just a little angle brush from Golden Maple. Their little angle one. We'll just holds a little more paint than that little detail brush. And we know that this gets dark in here like that. And comes all the way around like this. Kind of first layer, something dark. And then we know that we've got something real dark in here. We're just kind of painting this like a puzzle piece. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Goes here, and then this is something dark right in here. And then wow, this is almost the Payne's gray color up here. This is this little dark area up here on his back. And then let's see, another coat of paint on this because that got kind of light. Now, I'm going to take some burnt sienna and I'm going to just paint this ear in, right like this. Okay, let's see, what else could I paint in that's pretty, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And let's take a little bit of yellow. Just a yellow ochre. Come on the outside of that like this. And then I've got some of this yellow ochre color right here with a little bit of yellow and red. The orange and the yellow ochre and the orange color, okay? See? More of that cad red light. Okay, I'm gonna paint that here like this. I gotta make these underpainting colors before you get the rest. Make sense? So I'm kind of differentiate between what goes here. This is my first layer on this head here, like this. A little bit of brown coming up this way. There's that brown coming up here. So it's very easy to paint, but you have to kind of do it in sections. You've got to block it in, and then you start adding the light and dark colors on top of it. So here's some white and yellow ochre. That's going to go up in here like this. Some dark color right in here. That's his. See how we're getting it? Now we haven't really done much, but all we're doing is just putting the shadows, lights and darks. That's all anything ever is. Something's either lighter or darker than something else. When Cinnamon and John were first married, they were sharing a house with with their John's closest friend from high school. His name was Ryan. And the kids, they were on their own. No adults to tell them they couldn't have anything. And so the first thing they did was get a lot of pets. As many pets as they could get. They just, it was like they had cats and dogs and parrots. And Ryan had a dog, and then Cinnamon and John had the dog. His mother gave him the dog from when he was a kid. She didn't want to take care of it anymore. So they had this old dog that was kind of really on its last doggy little legs. And then they had a dog like this. And they had a parrot. And eventually they ended up with an aquarium, a prairie dog, some ferrets. They had the whole thing. But back when they were living in the house with Ryan and his dog, the parrot would throw its treats down to the beagle, and the beagle was eating them, and no one was seeing it. And the beagle kept getting fatter and fatter. He was eating. He would catch it. The parrot was very amused because the beagle would catch the treats in his mouth. Okay. And you know, I mean, how that must have been very entertaining for this parrot. You know, he just thought that was, you know, absolutely great fun.
Yeah, the beagle certainly enjoyed it.
Well, sure. So anyway, they had to put a stop to that part. The beagle just was getting fatter and fatter. Try some raw sienna. You see how I'm just sort of getting just the general planes of color on here. On this pooch here. And see, we haven't even done that much, and yet it's
coming alive already.
Just a little bit of raw sienna here. There's a little of this color down around his jowls here, like that. As you get color on the brush, you keep saying, well, where else could I put it, right? Too much paint. And as you layer, it gets easier to layer. That's the interesting thing. As you layer the dog, it gets so much easier to do it. I think I want some raw umber out. I used it for the thing, and I think the reason I wanted raw umber is translucent. Somebody asked in the club today. They said, "What is the difference between burnt umber and raw umber?" Raw umber is translucent. Burnt umber is like a door. You don't see through it.
Unless it's open.
Yeah. So we're gonna put a little raw umber out, and because that's a good when you kind of want to glaze something, that's a good way. But do you see how this dog's coming together, you guys? Almost so quick. All right, a little bit of here. I want some of that color here, that sort of gray color is coming around his mouth like that. A little bit of raw umber, and ultramarine blue is another translucent color. Did you know that? That's another one. It's sort of translucent. It makes a really interesting blue-gray. So when you're thinking about all these colors, there's just so many different colors of grays and different ways to make them. And I think we try on this channel and in our academy to kind of explain all that. Here's some light gray. So you just kind of go over that black. It's there now, but it's not that much. And as long as I'm doing it, here's some kind of white on top of his nose right here. All right, just a little bit grayer here. And this has got, so as you're painting, so you see how wide this line is? But in the picture, it's very narrow. So I would just make it more narrow. You see that? And we've got some kind of white and yellow ochre color right up here on his face, like this, and under his eyes, like that. We'll start layering on these colors. Take a little bit of orange and burnt sienna, mix that, and a little bit of yellow in it. It's a cad red, to me, is an orange. Okay, a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of raw umber, tone it down. There you go, that color. See how we just start layering these colors on here? Just keep adding, just keep layering on the colors. It's that simple. There. So here we're getting this little dog, painted in here. Get some more gray, make it a little bit more gray, put some more gray closer to the dog here. Let's just get a little gray color here. Okay, so we'll leave him for now. He has more to do, but he's kind of blocked in, wouldn't you say, John?
I think you got a good start on him, yeah.
Yeah, he's sort of blocked in. You can tell that's a dog, and then he's doing his thing, right? Well, I might make that eye a little darker. I'm going to take a little bit of the Payne's gray, and
you want to grab that other paw anyway?
Which paw?
The one that's on your left.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we haven't done that. Yeah, I guess we should put some color on that. But I want to make this eye darker. Okay, and then he gets a little bit of burnt sienna and white. All right, so on the squirrel one, I think we're going to be best off if we take a little bit of blue and.
You want to dry any in case you get your hands across the dog?
Yeah, good point. Let's dry this part, right?
Just so you don't smudge up the doggy.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas in July, my friends. Now don't go thinking I only pop in once a year. Oh, no! This summer, I've got something special just for you. All of Ginger Cook's downloadable acrylic painting tutorials. Yep, every single one is 30% off all month long. That's right. From July 1st to the 31st, you can deck your digital halls with over 50 stunning step-by-step painting tutorials, and with more added every month. Each download is yours to keep forever. No expiration dates, no Wi-Fi needed. Create your very own painting library that you can revisit anytime, any season. Whether you're painting snow-covered barns or summer poppies, there's something magical waiting just for you. And between you and me, Ginger adds new lessons all the time, so your collection can keep growing long after July has melted away. So grab your brushes, fill your stockings early, and head to Ginger's website before the sleigh rides off at the end of the month. This 30% off sale won't last long. Christmas in July sale. 30% off all downloadable lessons from our new website, gingercookondemand.com. July 1st to the 31st only. Brushes down, smiles up. That's the Ginger Cook way. Ho, ho, ho!
All right. I'm going to just... there you go. It's going to put a little shadow there. Now, we want to just take some dark brown and black, and we're going to say that this is our squirrel. Let's just make him dark. To me, that's the easiest way to paint him in, is we're going to say he's dark. And then I've got some, yeah, some dark here. Now we're going to take some dark and put it between his toes. We can do that, right? And let's take some burnt sienna. I'm not even going to clean the brush. I'm just going to come on up here on his ear, little pointed ears, and make it that color. And we're going to take some raw sienna, and we're going to paint his face raw sienna. My brush is dirty, so it'll be a little darker than that. Then we're going to take a little bit of yellow ochre and come around here like this. Put some of that color up here too. I'm going to have this color back here on his tail. And then raw sienna and a little bit of burnt sienna on here like that. Okay. And then this gets a little bit of brown here like that. And then we get a little bit of a light gray color. Now this is fun. Just how you block them in. That just, if you understand that, then not painting any of this stuff isn't hard. Okay, so this is all kind of light gray under here, and it's going to have some white, but it's the underpainting on the coat of the squirrel is going to be light gray. That's the color underneath the color of his fur, right? And then as long as you're doing it, do I have any of this gray somewhere I need to put? Okay. Any kind of gray I have to put somewhere darker. Okay. All right. So then you've got to, then in this case, you dry all of that. All right. Now I'm going to get my other angle brush. All right. Now we've got a little bit of burnt sienna here that goes here like this. The Bristol-ons are the brushes you want to use because they're stiff enough where when you have to do detail, I mean, it really helps, right? And I'm going to take a little bit of a light color here, flatten out the brush. See how you can get some detail without. See, just take a little bit of white and You take the paint on, you only put paint on one side of your brush. You kind of suggest the fur with the brush. All right. Now let's take a little bit of, just take the corner of that little raw umber and just paint the top of his nose in. Okay, and then a little bit of burnt sienna and orange color. We're going to come up a little further with this color like this. So if you just do, so for instance here, if you're confused, what do you know for sure? You know that there's some light around this eye that does this. Yeah, you know that. So, and there's some light underneath it. Like that, right? You know that, right? And you know that there's that light over on that side, right? And then you know that there's some light around the nose. Here, like that. You know that. And you saw this was light right there, right? You can see that. So when you get confused with the pattern, go back to what you know for sure. Like, what do you know for sure? I know for sure that there's a light line around his neck that does this, from the ear that does that, right? I mean, you know that, right? And then you know there's a dark one that's coming up on top of it, like paint just on one side of your brush is all you want to paint. And you know that's going there like this, right? And then you know you've got some light kind of gray coming down here like this, right? And it cuts this way like this. Put a little bit of yellow ochre in the gray. Okay, and you know you've got some dark brown on his nose like this. I'm gonna rinse the brush because I've got too much black on it, but you see how the squirrel's coming to life here. So I know I've got some dark brown. Now this was important. This line from this eye around here is important. This one right here. Okay? Comes around. You have to have this one in here like that, coming around his little jaw here. Okay? Got something dark right back here on his ear, right there. And some dark going up on his ear. See how you're just painting in the pattern. It just happens to be a squirrel today. Could be something else tomorrow. That's all you're ever learning to do.
Something else tomorrow.
Yeah, all you're doing is painting in the patterns. This is where this color goes, so that's here. And I've got something very dark.
And at times you might find it easier or better to flip it upside down for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see how we're getting we're getting that. And we know we've got something a little bit darker here on his paw. It's coming this way. A little bit of black in it. Payne's gray. We know we've got something dark here. This isn't dark enough right here. So I'm going to dry that because I've kind of blocked in just the areas. Now I can use a detail brush and kind of, finish it up. I want, John, I want some of that stuff. I'm going to use some flow paint. Can I have one of those cups for me?
They're in your drawer to your left.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Well, how'd they get there?
You must have put
How
them
did they
there.
do that?
Thank you.
Well, I'm telling you.
All right, so this is some titanium white in its flow. Golden. It's their fluid. It's called fluid acrylic paint. Okay, so I know that, for instance, these are going okay. That's a little too far, so I'll put some gray back here. Okay, so then I've got the thing about white paint is that it needs a couple of coats. That goes, this is just that gray color. Let me just blow up my picture for a minute. I have this image on an iPad, and I can enlarge it and really see where the colors go. This is where all the layering and fun stuff comes in. You're starting to do this. Just layering over the black a little bit. Because the squirrel is probably the most detailed thing we have here. Barely any paint on the brush. Alternate between kind of the light gray and the dark gray. And then under here, it's very dark. Right here underneath on the top of the foot, right there, it's very dark. It's kind of dark here by the dog. All right, now let's see if we can pull this off. I need to do a tiny line right there. Not quite what I want. Make this a little bigger. And there's a little bit of this burnt sienna color right here, kind of around his cheek. So probably the most time is the squirrel, I would say. Wouldn't you say? Dog went pretty quick, right? John, don't you think that most thing is the squirrel, right?
The most what?
The most time is the squirrel.
Well, yeah, he got the most detail.
But we can give him some personality. Not all white here. Well, it's kind of white up on his foot right here, like this. Let's see, he's got, oh, there's a little dark here, a little shadow here by his foot. It's in the, Got some nice fur under his chest. Let's see how he's going in there. Isn't that cute?
He's looking cute.
It's just a combination of all these colors, the raw sienna, the yellow ochre and stuff, right? I think we'll put a highlight in his eye up here. Oh, just kind of, he can be looking at us, right? Let's see, a little bit of pink on his nose. All right, now for the squirrely part here, like this, we got, we did the white, now we sit there and we do the, like the raw sienna on his tail like that, kind of overlap the white, right? And then you do a little bit of yellow ochre. And then you go into the black, and then, paint his gray color, and you do this. And then as he dries, we'll probably add a little bit more light to him, but I think we got a cute squirrel. Now let's finish the dog, and a little bit of squirrel here. It's a little dark in here. Around his nose. All right, I think that's pretty clear. Now, we need some more dark on this spot right here. Let's pick some burnt umber and get this in here pretty good. See, it's coming to life now. I want to give everything a good dry, and then I'll finish the final touches on the dog.
Ah, bonjour, mes amis. It is I, Vincent van Gogh. Yes, that Vincent. You may have heard of my little painting. Starry Night, it's okay. I have better ones. I'm taking a break from painting sunflowers to tell you about something quite extraordinary. Ginger Cook's Acrylic Painting Art Academy. You see, when you join as a red or purple member, you don't just learn from Ginger. Oh, no, no, no. You get to study the brushstrokes of my dearest old friends. Monet, Renoir, Gauguin. Okay, he still owes me a letter. Matisse, Picasso, even those brilliant Americans. Metcalfe, Homer, Rockwell. These are the greats, and Ginger makes their genius fun to learn. And let me tell you a secret. Museums don't let you touch their paintings, but in Ginger's Academy, you get to paint them. You'll see how the masters saw light, shadow, color, even if some of them couldn't find matching socks. So, if you're ready to laugh, learn, and paint your way through art history, join us. Red members get hundreds of full-length tutorials. Purple members, everything, including the wave and water masterclass. Yes, I peeked, and it's brilliant. Don't worry if you're not a genius yet. I wasn't either, until posthumously. Join us. Discover your style by standing on the shoulders of giants, and maybe me, if you're not too tall. Paint boldly, dream wildly, and remember, Your masterpiece is just one brushstroke away. Join red or purple membership today. Learn from the masters. Paint like one. Join Ginger on her website, paintingwithginger.com.
And as long as I'm doing it, let me just make a couple corrections. This is going to be lighter right here. And then there we go. Okay, so pretty happy with that. Now, I'm going to change brushes. Use my smaller angle brusher again. And we know that we need some more white on here, right? Remember we did that before, but we just don't have enough white paint. Now we need the push and lift up. Don't want to fool around on the coats of white paint. You know you need it. Okay. Now we've got a little bit of light coming up on this dog right here, like this, above his eye. That's just a little bit of, this is a little bit of yellow ochre. It's kind of lighter right here. Remember I told you had to have this to make it look like he had puffy eyes? Let's do a little bit of burnt sienna. A little light right here. It's a little bit lighter on that top right there, but not the whole thing. See how we just keep adding a little color?
Layer upon layer.
Then we can make lines smaller. And this goes up somewhat like this. This comes up this way. Now you get the feeling of what we're doing, right? I'm going to redo that light line under his eye because it's not quite right. I'll just paint that out and put it in again. So how long have we been doing this, John?
Not even an hour, my dear.
Okay, would you believe you could do something like this in an hour, you guys? Wait,
Well,
really?
we know Ginger can. A socks folders would take forever.
Now, this little line here, you've got to ask yourself whether a line is curving out or curving under. See how I have this curving under, but if you look at the picture, it's curving out, right? And it's not that wide, but it's curving out. Okay, that stuff can be important. Now, what do we know for sure? We know that, for instance, there's some very light kind of yellow ochre white in here in the front. And then there's some kind of very light Payne's gray color here, like this. There's some kind of reddish brown colors coming up in here like this on this side of the canvas. I don't really have to do all that, but that's what that is, right? I want some little bit of darker gray in here like this for him. He got a little wide on us, right? Let's see, what else can I do with him? Uh, okay, like that. And let's see, what else can we do? We can take a little bit more of the dark on his nose. And I want something dark under here. Maybe it takes the burnt umber and the ultramarine blue, remember? Want something very dark under here. And I think we got him for the most part, right? And I think you'd be surprised
He's looking cute.
how cute this little painting can be. A little bit of raw umber down in here. It's sort of a fun portrait, I think. And do you see anything, John, I'm missing?
Doesn't look like it.
You just come up here with some dark on his ear. He still needs some whiskers. I think I'll do my Posca pen. I'm drawing real well. Just do a little Posca pen work on his face, and I think I'm going to call him finished. Hi, you guys. Ginger Cook here. So this little cute painting of the bird is all in a beautiful frame and varnished. And you'll look up here and you'll see a little landscape here of lavender fields. That actually was a YouTube tutorial. You'll see, really, I've got to bring this even closer to you. Look at this painting of the rocks and the texture. And you're going, well, what are these paintings about? This is all part of the offerings that we're going to be drawing for from our scholarship fund for this quarter. And what's wonderful is that you have a chance to win, to get picked out in our fishbowl of an original Ginger Cook, signed with a certificate of authenticity. And that's for those of you who have been contributing at least $25 in the last 3 months to our scholarship fund, either whether you did it on YouTube or you came to our academy and did it, acrylic painting with gingercook.com, and maybe it was $5 one month and 20 the next, whatever it is. Maybe you did $200 or $300 over a period of 3 months. For every $25, you get a ticket in our fishbowl, and we will be drawing. And you'll be amazed at the number of people who've only done $25 that have gotten that, have won a painting. But what's really neat, let me show you a few more why I'm telling you this, because this is not just the beginning of these paintings. What's really neat is that besides helping another artist learn to paint, okay, that's really massively important. For every, if somebody contributes $25 to our scholarship fund and we scholarship somebody, we match it. So you're not only helping someone else, but also you're helping the channel stay up and us continue to make these videos. So we thank you very much. Now the final one, and there may be more depending on the donations that come in, but I want to show you the final one that is really spectacular. Is these tulips in the book, and this is a little bit bigger. But how the drawing works is that the first ticket that gets pulled out of the fishbowl, they have a choice of the paintings, and then the second person gets the next choice, and so on. So I want to thank you in advance for our scholarship contributions. We know every week you guys help us out, and I want to look up here and say, listen, we couldn't do it without you. Without your support, we couldn't keep this channel going, and we couldn't help others. So thank you in advance. Have a wonderful day. Well, the paws aren't quite finished on the squirrel. Let's turn it upside down so we're just painting shapes. What do you say? Because the paws really aren't quite finished on the squirrel. But I can do that, right? I'm going to just...
Yeah, they're kind of a moppy looking thing.
Yeah, they are. They're kind of... So they have dark... like, for instance, around under the toes, it's all dark. For one thing, right? Just not a little bit of brown. And then there's some yellow ochre on the top like this. But it's definitely dark brown between the toes. See, and they're under, you've got to... And turning it upside down really helps sometimes, because I can see where this goes in here like that, and otherwise I might not see it. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of this. Yeah, upside down. I see new. It's a whole new world upside down. I could sing a song. It's a whole new world. Upside down.
We're just looking at shapes.
Yeah, you're just absolutely. You're just doing shapes, and I see a shape I didn't have. Right.
You're tricking your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. You're tricking your brain so that you just, like, for instance, this comes down. What's that shape right there? A few bit more colors on there. Yeah, when I'm painting it upside down, I see a lot more than I did before. Okay, let's turn him around now. Wow, look at that. How fun is that? Wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference, but it does. So let's try our squirrel, and then I'll put the black Posca pen on, just kind of get his nose a little better. I'm just a little tricky with the rest of this, but see, all my Posca pens fell down. Where'd everybody go?
They fall all the way over.
Everything fell off the other day. You've got a black one in here somewhere. Here, these two. Okay, so let's try that, and we'll you find a frame.
We've got a frame Santa.
Joe's coming with a frame.
Frame a squirrel and a dog.
Oh yeah, and then here's his eye. I want to make the light too big, so I can take the Posca pen down and
Little details.
just small little details. Here, put it in the frame, and I'll put the whiskers on. Yep, that's kind of nice, huh, you guys?
A dog and his buddy.
Let's do just a few little last details. Let's do a transition of light gray down into here. There's a line that curves right like this. It does this. Makes this curve by his foot. Okay? I think that's um, uh, pretty good.
Well, I think it's darn good.
All things considered. This goes around his leg like this. That's all white here. The more we do it, the more it kind of makes sense, right? That kind of splays out over the top like this, kind of curves out. All right, I'm going to take the white Posca pen and I'm going to do some whiskers. But before that, I'm going to come in here like this and make this line thinner. But okay. I think this is pretty fun. I think for this was really an hour tutorial. Really, is that all this was?
I think it's great.